We are. Don't you start crying. No.
Don't you start crying out there.
Don't you start crying, Gleann Abhann. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
AYUP, Gleann Abhann. It's Mistress
AYUP.
Roz.
And Dame Dot. How are y'all doing today? How are you doing, Roz?
Doing okay. Running late as usual. How about you?
Same thing, except mine is because I was off this week and have slept a lot. And so I've just been sleeping through a lot of stuff, but I'm still running late. So, it's been a whirlwind since Coronation. Coronation was so much fun. I had a really good time. There was some things that happened that were kind of important. We do
Would you
now
like to
have
expand? Go
I was
ahead.
going to say we do have a new king and queen, but
Oh,
they're
yes.
going by Con, and I can't pronounce it. It's not Connate because we thought it was, but I've learned that is for a smaller territory. So that would be like for a barony. So now it's KHATUN.
TUN. Well, stay tuned, Gleann Abhann, as we figure out pronunciation, as we add that to the problem list of can't math, calendar, and now can't pronounce words.
We cannot, but congratulations to His Majesty Christoph and Her Majesty Brennan. So we'll leave it at that until we know how to pronounce it. There was an elevation, a surprise elevation.
Yes, Duchess Lalian was elevated on the spot, surprise drive-by to the Laurel.
Yep.
In the morning court, the last court of Connor and Denara. Excuse me. Lovely little ceremony. It was really, really, really nice.
It was, and it was very much deserved, as all of them are. I think she was really surprised. It's hard to get her emotional, and I think she was emotional, which yeah,
it was good. It was lovely. Let's see. So also at the event was the King's Champions tournament. Wolf, excuse me.
His Majesty.
Well, His Majesty
Christoph.
Oh, Con Christoph.
Yes.
Make sure I'm trying to get that. Sorry, because he's in my shire, so it's hard not to just say, But
right, correct.
For Con Christoph had his King's Champion, and he reserved the right to choose the fighter of his choice to represent him. And so he chose Sir Drogo of Axbridge to be his King's Champion,
which I think is awesome. And I'm gonna post this on TikTok. We were doing the diversity series, and I didn't want to kind of break up the diversity series with funny, jovial stuff because it's kind of a more serious. But we finished that series, and so I'm going to start posting some of the funnier things. But he had the best reaction of a fight that he won that I've ever seen. So check it out on TikTok and you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't want to say too much, but if you were there, you know what I was talking about. The crowd lit up. It was just fabulous. So I was really pleased that he chose him to represent him. So
yeah, very good. I think towards the end I had pulled off with some of the lady fighters and was doing some one-on-one with them. So that was a nice little moment for us to have that time to work together to support.
Yeah, and I think some of them were new. I mean, like, was one of them really new, or am I making that up?
You might be making that up.
Okay. I was more interested in you filming a TikTok for me, which it's coming out too.
Yes, and if you would like to be a subject of Dame Dot's TikToks, please reach out and we can make that happen.
It only takes a few minutes, and I can turn anything into a TikTok. Just about.
So as far as the rest of Coronation, I think it went great. I would say that we had a return to a European ball in the evening that Duchess Megan led. That was a lot of fun. Otherwise, it was a wonderful, wonderful little event back at Toledo Bend State Park.
Right. Correct. And then there was an event a day. Oops, sorry.
No, you go right ahead.
I was going to say, then there was
you're
the
going
day,
where I'm going.
yeah. Then there was the day event, something German that happened. It was just a Saturday I'm blanking out.
It's in Ackerman.
Yes.
So, which is Toronto, technically the Starkville region of Mississippi, but I believe the event was in Ackerman. So, something German. We look forward to hoping that you tag us in any photos out there or videos on YouTube, or tag us on Instagram or something. We'd love to see your photos of that event.
Yep.
And then looking further out, what else have we got, Dot?
Oh, there's a bunch of stuff, but I know something that I love, TOC. I always jump to TOC, but there's other things before then. I'm just not good at calendaring.
So we've got Samhain or Samhain, depending on how you'd like to pronounce it.
In Memphis area.
Yes. And then I think there's a free weekend on the calendar. And then Crown List. Province of Lauderdale. And then for those who travel out of Kingdom, the priority event of
BAM. But they switched the name. It's no longer BAM. Didn't they switch it to something, or did they go back to BAM? War of the Ram.
War of the Ram, is that what it is?
I think that's what it is.
I don't know. We will put it right there. Then another break, and then once December hits, we have Christmas Revel. Always a fun event. I have a soft spot for Christmas Revel because that was my Laurel Elevation event and the first TOC, Dot. And then the second weekend in December is TOC.
Yeah.
So a good little calendar. Make sure you check it out on the Kingdom website or
the Ambassador. You can check it out on the Ambassador too, with the new nifty little lineup that has it all in one place. So, that works out really well for me because I'm able to see it. So,
and then
did you check out that cover? I'm sorry. Did you see that cover this month?
It was sparkly. It was very sparkly.
It was very sparkly. I loved it. Anyway.
But you can also, we try to, as soon as it gets published on the Kingdom website, we also try to publish to the Facebook page.
Yeah.
The Kingdom Facebook page.
Yeah.
So, anything else for us to cover tonight? I think our guests had quite a bit.
Our guests are going to take up a lot of time. So
we're going to keep that short. Yep.
So first up, who's our surprise guest number one?
Surprise guest number one should be no surprise to people out there, is Duke James, called the Holy. And he is going to tell us a little bit about TOC.
We can. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, so tonight we have a special guest with us. We have Duke Sir James, called the Holy, is with us tonight to talk about TOC. Thank you for being here with us.
Yay! Ooh, and it's sparkling with the hat. I love it.
You've got a nice sparkles. I like it.
My lens flare.
Anyway, so again, thank you for being here. Dot and I have a very special place in our hearts for the Tournament of Champions, and it means a lot to us. We are very passionate about it. We love it. So we are so excited to be able to talk to you and know that you probably feel about the same way we do about,
absolutely. Yeah.
With how wonderful this event is.
Well, let's start before we jump into like this year's TOC. Just kind of give people like a quick history of TOC, because I think a lot of people, especially now, we have a lot of new fighters coming in and don't realize that exactly how long this tournament's been running, the intent of the tournament, the way we kind of looked at it. Because the original TOC was to build like a communal fighting culture. and to create a tournament season that we really didn't have at the time. And we were still kind of finding identity in the kingdom early on. So these early tournaments were to create, a value, not just within the tournament, but within traveling within the kingdom. And getting out and stuff like that. And that's one of the things you hear people preach a lot is when learning and fighting and stuff is go to other groups, do other groups. So it incentivized that. And really more so helped a lot of small groups because, people were able to hold these qualifiers and stuff like that. So you would have these tournaments that normally would pull 6 or 8 people now having, 20 people show up to them.
Right.
And you're talking about the golden ticket era.
Right.
Era.
Era.
Back in the annals of history for our kingdom.
Exactly. And the first TOC was 2008, and it was sponsored by Exmoor, correct? At the it was in conjunction with Christmas Revel, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and back in those days, yeah, you had to win a tournament to get into the TOC. Like you had to get a golden ticket, and there was no limit. I think they just allowed every group to host, host a tournament. So we had, however many groups wanted to do it. So, and that they quickly realized a couple fatal flaws in that is because you had a couple of squires that won like 4 and 5 tournaments.
Oh, I remember that because it was a very
I can see that.
prestigious thing, though.
Yeah.
To show that I think it was Sir Ashikaga, at one point had won multiple golden tickets.
I think that first year, me, Ashi, and John Natal, none of us had been knighted yet. Ashi had like 6 of the goblets. I had 4 or 5. John had 4 or 5. And we all got knighted, I think, the year after that, or a year or two after that within that. But they realized like, oh, this is not a good thing. Like we need to change it. So the next year they said, if you win a tournament, you just can't fight any more tournaments. So again, that year, me, John, and Ashi won first 3 tournaments of the season, and then as squires had to sit out the rest of the tournament season.
Yeah.
Right. Makes it a little.
Yeah. So then it came. Then so. And I'm saying all this to kind of let people know how we came to where we're at now.
Oh, yeah, of course. People may not know that.
Yeah. So, and that was kind of the first 3 years was kind of the golden ticket era. I got knighted within that 3rd year and kind of took it over from there. And we kind of, we tried to find a variable within the ticket and a point system that first year or two that kind of worked out. But everything, that we were still kind of inventing the system, and then we eventually landed on the point system, where we had a 7-5-3 value and a 7-5-3-1 value for tournaments. Where if you entered a tournament, you got 1 point no matter what, because that still encouraged travel. So if you did 30 tournaments in the season, you had 30 points, even if you didn't win.
Yeah.
Third place would land you 3 points, and then 5 for second and 7 for first place. And it also gave, from the chivalry standpoint, it gave us an idea of how well people were doing in tournaments, because His Grace Kalen maintained a database that you could access at any time and look at the point roster. And so, for the chivalry's sake, we could look at this point value and be like, oh man, look at this guy, 45 points in this season. But like all things, I think, the fervor for it kind of died down a little bit because it's like, what was new is now old. And a lot of these things just take promotion. It take a really like letting people know what's going on and letting them know the importance of it. And not just from the fighter side, like you two lovely ladies said, like y'all love it too, and what it's supposed to represent and what it can be. So the point system started wearing down, and we had a couple of slow seasons where it was just people realizing that like, oh, I can watch the point board, and all I've got to do is stay within the top 14 of that point board.
Right.
So they were kind of gaming the system a little bit, which, I mean, more power to them, right?
Hey, if you can travel around that much and get those single points, great. You're known throughout the kingdom, which is a renowned kind of thing. That's not entirely bad.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I know what you're talking about because some of the
Mhm.
we'd ask the peerages to do their tournament, pick a spot to do their tournament or something, and I think
Yeah.
that started out great, but then, like you said, after a number of years of that, it kind of it, I don't want to say it got old, but
Well,
it kind of died down a little bit. The
yeah,
importance of
it wears on people too. Like, I know the Laurels especially, they always try to provide a new outfit for whoever won, and everybody assumes that all Laurels are costuming Laurels, and that's not true.
Right.
Um, so you were kind of falling on, relying on these, 4 or 5 individuals to kind of do this year after year after year, and that
It
gets
gets a little
tedious.
hard and tedious to travel to those places, constantly.
And I'm a huge fan of, like, I don't like placing monetary burdens on any people within the SCA, and it was kind of doing that too, in a way, because we realized, like, oh, it's these individuals that are always supplying the goods for whatever, because it had just become, like, whether the Laurels said it or not, somebody won the Laurels tournament, be like, all right, I'm getting a new outfit, and I know that the Laurels didn't want to disappoint, so I'm pretty sure there was 1 or 2 times that they hadn't planned to do that, but again, they wanted to provide, especially when that person is super excited for that tournament, and that's kind of what Peerage is about too.
Right.
But it yeah, put a lot of burden on multiple groups too, and then it was like, finding everybody wanted to find the right event to host their tournament, and then we had the addition of the Masters of Defense too, so that added another peerage in, along with our Diamonds and Roses that hosted one, and all that. So logistics was becoming burdensome, along with people just kind of getting tired, because the newness had worn off, the shiny had worn off of it.
well, and
Um,
then I think the pandemic happened, and that's yeah, there was a lot of
Absolutely,
negative with that, but it was kind of a great time to reset.
I think
I think.
so. Yeah, if
It
and,
was a
and that,
definite time to reset. It kind of,
yeah, and honestly, like, if the pandemic hadn't happened, I think that would have been the death of TOC.
I
Unfortunately,
can see that. Yeah.
'cause it had passed hands to another group, and I think, and not to throw shade or anything, I don't think they realize, like, how labor intensive it is to do the event, and they're like, oh, well, it just kind of runs itself, and how many times do we hear that in the SCA, like, oh, events run themselves, and not realizing that our tournament champions exists outside of kingdom level events and normal group events. It's its own
Right.
little special
It's a
thing,
hybrid.
right?
It's a hybrid.
Um, so they just didn't realize, and it could have been like poor mentorship on my part, because I've been running it for 10 or 11 years at that point or more, and it could have been poor mentoring on my part, not letting them know, like, hey, this is a lot more intensive than you think. And with the combination, the birth of the ROTC, the Rapier Tournament Champions too, they were jumping into, like, a big ordeal, and the pandemic, and other things going on. So it's
Got
good
a
that
much needed break in there. So yeah,
yeah, yeah, for sure,
much
for
needed
sure,
break.
for sure. And then coming out of the pandemic, I know people didn't want to see it die. I didn't want to see it die either, but I was kind of at that point where I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if there was a want or a desire for it. It was kind of on that fence, like, man, I hate, because a special place to me, because I'd ran it for so many years. I felt it was a huge measure in me getting knighted, and my Pelican, revolved around
Right.
that too. So I'm tied to it,
Yeah,
and Roz had a lot of stoking in my fire to get it going again. And I think that's all I
Yeah.
needed, was one person to be like, hey, we need to do this thing. And we looked at some options, and we're like, hey, we're gonna totally reinvent the TOC. We're gonna do, based off the kind of the Meridian Grand Tournament format, and
Right.
La Providura, a couple other kingdoms that do similar type things. And, like, hey, we're gonna try it and see how it works. And I think the team we had last year's TOC, I think, really nailed it. and
Hit
just
it
knocked
out
it
of the park. It was the right event at the right time. And hands down, everybody thinks of those special SCA moments. What was your first event? What was your most memorable? I can tell you, besides the biggest things that have happened to me at SCA events, that was my favorite event of all times.
And just for the record, she hasn't stopped talking about it since
I
last.
haven't.
So yeah.
I have it because I had come back from a break raising my daughter, and I did catch the tail end of the TOCs in the what I consider the NASCAR format. I don't know what y'all call it.
It was the NASCAR era. It was the NASCAR era.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. And it was cool and it was neat and it was, okay, I understand the concept. But it could be hard to follow as somebody who's not, fighting anymore. But then the break and coming back, I was like, this is everything that I've missed in one event. It was, and it felt different. I could not get enough of it. And literally every time we've been on this show, I've been talking about how wonderful it is. So
I think going into that last TOC, and I hope this TOC, we want to recapture that. There's a communal value that can be had among the populace and tournament that doesn't segregate everybody into these weird areas and stuff like that. And building an atmosphere and an environment around the tournament field, around the area, as it were, of this like community before competition, feeling that we had. And I think it sealed the magic of the day. And we had a lot of things going on, a nighting the morning of a big tournament like that, man, is a special time. And like, everybody coming out and really kind of packing everybody in. But at the same time, it was one field, one kingdom, one heartbeat of a community, there for one thing. And it's, I say it, and we preach a lot about the fighters, but we know that's been done at this point, and hopefully in the future we can spread that out. We've seen a model for it now, and it's a beautiful thing. But the TOC, I'm glad that the fire is back for people. Last year, I know several people, if not everybody, left that event kind of talking about how good it was, and the things that all the things that went right, and the things that went wrong were really kind of outside of our control at the time, because like it was hot.
It was hot.
It was hot.
It was hot.
So the peach, we put out a little survey after the fact, because I think it's always good, especially now with social media and things like that. You have your fingertips can kind of be on the pulse, and people are a lot more vocal. Thankfully, in a good way. Some,
it was, I saw that. Yeah, I helped you with that, and I mean, a lot of great feedback. Most of the negative was just too damn hot. We can't help that. So,
but through the wizardry of Iron we did fix that problem.
The ox has come through.
So, wow, that was a lot of information, Dot.
Tons.
Yes. So just for you people out there sitting in front of your computers, we had to cut that interview a little short because we really got into it and was talking to James. So
we did. And because of that, because we have another guest, we're going to make this a 2-part episode, and we will wrap up this one. And then you can tune in next week or the next time we post for the second half. How does that sound, Roz?
Sounds perfect. Absolutely perfect. I like the little catch about next week since we've been running late on getting stuff done.
We're busy people, man. We are busy people.
SCA time. It's all, thank you for staying tuned, Gleann Abhann. So this week, our second special guest that we asked to come on and talk to us about what they're doing for Gleann Abhann is Sir Titus. And you might have seen him over on YouTube. He is doing the Gleann Abhann Reaper Challenge. Thank you, Sir Titus, for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Not only giving us the time to talk to us tonight, but supplying us with content for our YouTube channel. And that's pretty special. We really, really appreciate it. So,
Well, thanks for having me.
oh,
I appreciate it.
So tell us, first of all, what is a Reaper challenge?
Okay, so the Reaper Challenge started a while back. What it was to encourage people to get up and swing sticks so we could all be better fighters together. It originally started, man, I don't know the exact year, but it's been around for a while now, and it's 100 shots, minimum of 100 shots for 100 days. And anybody that finishes it's all an honor system too, because we're all honorable people in the SCA. So this is one of those things. It's on you. You make posts. You sit there and post every day how many shots you did, what you're working on, and it's a very, very encouraging group of people. But once you get through the 100 days, you get a cool Reaper patch. It has really spread all over the place, and it's not only open just to SCA people. If you go to the Facebook page, they have people from all types. They'll do light fighting, heavy fighting. They have people that do, is it boo hurt? They have people that do steel fighting. I mean, it's a very, very big. It's grown into a huge thing. That's a positive thing any way you look at it, and it's a very, very warming group of people.
And so you started this in August, leading up to TOC, correct?
Correct. Me, after I had my injury, I kind of got down and out, and this was a way not only for me to feel like I'm actually back in the game swinging the sticks, but hopefully it could encourage other people. If I could do it with a broke arm, I wanted to try to get everybody up swinging too, and just be like, look, we can all do this together. And we'll all come out to be better fighters on the road to TOC. And TOC is pretty special to me since, a little over a year ago, that's when I got knighted. So, and it's one of the biggest, Crown List is always going to be one of the biggest, but this is one of the biggest tournaments that we have in Gleann Abhann. So it was just a real positive thing, and you guys accepted it with open arms, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
Anytime we can get content, baby, we are there. And I must say, not only is it on Facebook, but then you've also done a shortened version for TikTok. So whatever, platform that you prefer, you can catch up and do a faster version of the talking part on TikTok. So I really appreciate that.
The faster version.
I didn't know I could talk that fast until, we're like, oh, let's try to keep it under a minute. I'm like, I sound like the Micro Machine guy from the 90s. I try to spit it all out.
And you've been doing a really great job of condensing it into just the important thing. But what I have found is that you will also talk one-on-one if somebody has a comment or somebody needs that question. How do you keep up with that with how are you managing keeping up with everybody?
Not only will I do it, but I encourage it, because there's so many times where it looks like, I won't even say like peer fear, but sometimes people are afraid to ask questions. And I always want to be one of those kind of guys that were like, hey, if I can help, I'll help. If you need to, some kind of confirmation on crazy stuff I'm talking about, just send me a message. Or you guys have been really helpful pointing out stuff, because sometimes I can't catch all those comments or what people are saying. So y'all forward it to me, and I've told people I will do it public, or if they want to do it in private, because there's a lot of people that have sent me videos that they don't feel like posting. Maybe they're worried about being picked apart by people or whatever. I said, send it to me. I'll look at it and we can talk. This is all about becoming better fighters together and kind of encouraging that little bit of brotherhood that we got going on, or sisterhood, and just keep pushing. So if I get something, whenever I'm out there and I'm going to go do my pell work for the day, because I'm right along with everybody else, it only takes me a few minutes to shoot a video and shoot it off to somebody. And, this is one of those things. If I don't have time to do that, I don't have time to do anything. So I make that kind of a priority. It's so easy to do. And if people find it helpful, great.
Absolutely.
If they think I'm full of it, I'm like, hey, that's cool too.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but I know that I have asked questions about stuff and you sent me video replies like the rotique, we were talking about that, things like that. And I will say I have recorded several times and I have not posted any videos because I make the most dumbest faces.
Hey,
doing my pound work. So
that's
I'm like,
normal fighter fodder right there. I make some goofy looking faces myself.
I was
well,
gonna
I mean,
say, if
like,
you're not, are you doing it right? I mean,
it's so embarrassing. It's so
so
embarrassing.
how do you come up with the weekly challenge? Is there a mindset that you're progressing? Are you increasingly getting it, or is it just, hey, this seems like fun?
Well, so
Or
it started
both?
off with I had a plot and a plan, and it's kind of devolved into what it is through now. So the original thing is 100 shots for 100 days. It's great. It gets people moving. But I started noticing there were certain things when I was watching other people's videos that I thought that a structure could help. And fighting is like building blocks. You build a wall, you got to start at the bottom and work your way up. So that's why some of the first stuff I was like, let's talk about how to stand. Let's talk about how the shot extension should go. Let's even break it down to something simpler, like some of the TikToks we did earlier. How do I hold my stick? You know,
Right.
and this was stuff that kind of hit me because, especially if you're new, when you show up to a practice, you get 1,000 things just shoved at you at once, and you're lucky if one or two sticks. So by doing it this way, breaking it down into these sections, I thought, look, this is something they can go back and rewatch as many times as they need to. So we're going to start off at the bottom. We're going to talk about this is how we stand, this is how we rotate, and really, really focus on body mechanics and how shots should be thrown. Because if you're standing there throwing 1,000 shots a day, if you're not doing it in a good form, you're practicing bad form, you're building bad muscle
Yeah.
memory. So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
thought by
yeah, I totally get that. Totally felt that one. Yeah.
and then look, that stuff too. I remember in my earlier days, there's a lot of stuff I had to kind of go untrain, and it is harder once you've learned something to physically stop doing it whenever it's reflexive. So these little blocks, I'm trying to add to it, and there was a few things originally I had came up with a list. I know I'd sent it to you, Roz, and I've kind of
Right.
went off of it a little bit because as I'm watching people and people are talking to me, there might be little things that we need to adjust on the fly.
Yeah. And you've done some supplements, I think. I know we've uploaded one supplement to YouTube where you kind of like, we need to talk about this point
Yeah.
and yeah,
You
review
know,
it. And,
that's not like pointing fingers at anybody in particular, but there are just some stuff in general that if you don't think about it, like the shield drift or rotating when you're moving
Right.
out of the way, and that's one of those things where if you, like I said, if you do that 1,000 times when you go into a tournament or you're trying to fight, you're going to do that in the tournament, and that's what ends up getting you killed. So those
yeah.
little preventative things will add up in the end.
Yeah. 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 I like I will tell you that the Valkyrie group really focused in on the footwork drills
Oh
with
Mhm.
yeah,
the compass. Is that what it was? The lines that you
hmm
drew. And so I know I went out and I put spray paint on the dead grass in the backyard,
yeah.
and so and it stayed for a little while, but just to help think about where you're moving around, make sure that I was moving in the angles, those 45-degree angles around the pill, and not just forward and back. It's
Yeah,
been
and
helpful to me.
it's like I tell people, I try to preface it because you have certain people that say this is how you fight and this is the only way, and I'm not somebody that's like that. Everybody's different, and
Yeah.
you need to learn the way that you do it. So I remember back when I was 400 pounds, people were like, "You need to twist this way and do that." Well, my 400-pound knees couldn't do that, so I had to do what I could. So whenever I'm trying to teach people, I'm like, take what works, apply it, and if it doesn't work for how you fight, then you can adjust it. Now you have those universal truths that I need to step this way or I need to move this way, but that's why I tell people message me and we'll talk. Well, if you're having a problem with something, we'll address it and we'll go with it. And I'm telling you, I'm so proud of the 11 people that are sticking in there. I mean, that's
It's a lot to be that dedicated every day, rain, heat, eventing, whatever. So to be able to stick with it, and I know that we probably have people that are doing it. They're just and people can still join. They might not qualify for the patch, but it's still good
well, there's
information.
like we've had some people that had to drop out due to health issues. We've had some for mundane issues, and I try to encourage them. I'm like, look, just because you had to miss a day doesn't mean you have to quit.
Right.
Get your stick back up, go out there and swing. You know, and here's the thing. My goal is I'm hoping to be back in armor by TOC. So anybody that shows up, I'm hoping to get my butt whipped by them. I want to see what all they're doing on these pails. They're going to come whop this knight upside the head.
So what day will this end, or how much time before TOC? This cat's driving me crazy. I'm sorry. How much time before TOC does the challenge end? Do you know?
Well, Roz might know better than me because, you know, I'm a fighter, not good at math. But Roz
So
was helping me
we'll put
figure it
it,
out.
We'll
we don't
put
know.
it-
We will figure that out and put it into the video because I don't know. I'll have to look at it. I think we figured it up that the date we started, it ends like the week or two
Before.
right before TOC. So whatever that first week in December is when it ends, I believe. But I'm going to double check that.
And I'll say anybody that's seeing my daily post knows that I can't count because several times people are like, no, I think it's this day. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Well, you know
mathing
I
is
can't.
hard. Calendaring is harder.
You know, Roman numerals, I only can count to 10.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So just to repeat something Dot said, and I believe you said it too, Sir Titus, is that just because you missed starting with this group is that please pick up the sword and start your own self challenge to work every day a little bit on your fighting technique. So
So there is something I can say about that because I don't know if I'm letting the cat out of the bag, but I think I talked to you about it.
Right
My
on
original
cue.
plan was, you know, I think I challenged, was it 3 or 4 people out the gate? And I know, Raj, you were one. And that was me just personally saying, hey, look, you are awesome. And I think you can do this. Let's do this together. So my plan is the final week, anybody that makes it to the end, I want to see if they will challenge 3 people to step up. And I'm hoping that will start kind of like a wave. You know, one pebble in the pond creates a lot of ripples.
right.
And if they can challenge 3 people and then they make it through it and they challenge 3 people, we'll have a lot of people getting off the couch, swinging those sticks and then tearing up the fighting field.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing. I think it's absolutely wonderful that you're leading on this, Sir Titus, and I think everybody that's doing it wants to see everybody succeed on the path of just improving their fighting skills. And this is one small thing that is really nice to see you encouraging people in the kingdom to do. And again, I don't think we have any fencers, right? There's no fencers this time.
Well, I know
Right.
we had one Mike Dudley. He's already done the Reaper Challenge fencing, and now he picked it up and is really kicking a lot of butt doing heavy this time.
Right.
All right.
And he went out
Nice.
and fought heavy at this last event at Crown List.
Yeah.
It was one of his first fighting tournaments back because he had contacted me to see if anybody had any video because he was really happy. And I think that's probably one reason is because he was back out doing this challenge and maybe, you know, it inspired him to get back in it and do both. So
Out there swinging them sticks, busting some heads. He was looking pretty good at Coronation.
yeah. I thought it was pretty exciting. So if anybody has any video of him, let me know so I can get it to him.
Well, and if anyone out there has video and you're on YouTube and you share it on YouTube, make sure you tag Gleann Abhann in that, and we can add it to some playlists out there. Dot, do you have any more questions for Sir Titus tonight?
I don't think so. Well, I do kind of have one. So you have a Facebook page for this challenge. Once the challenge is over, will the Facebook page stay live for people who are continuing it or starting their own? What's like the future going to be for that?
So I encourage people, we have our Gleann Abhann fighter page, and that's the one we've been spamming with this every day. And I got to apologize to the people that aren't in it because I know that every day, poop, it gets posted on
Okay,
there.
so it's on that one. Sorry, I didn't really know where it was posted.
And several people cross post too on the Reaper page, that's always up, and it's fun to go on there and watch everybody on there post, and it's a big community. But
and that's all. That's like every Reaper. It's kind of like a conglomerate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And we just been putting it on ours so we didn't have to bog down the Kingdom site. Can I say, you two, I want to thank both of y'all very much for all the social media stuff y'all are doing. I mean, really, I wouldn't have a bigger platform as I do out there just shaking my head around talking if it wasn't for you guys helping out. Really,
Well, thank you. We try. We
y'all are
try.
killing it. Yeah, y'all are using
You
this
know,
social media thing to reach new people.
just for those who are out there, let me just say that we've been trying to get this interview with Sir Titus for about 2 weeks now. So sometimes we try very hard. Sometimes we fail, but
Yeah.
that,
But we
that's
got it
very
now.
kind of.
We
Yes,
got it
we
now.
got it. We got it.
Well, I just want to thank you once again.
Hopefully, I was worth the wait.
It is.
Absolutely.
But I want to thank you for bringing it to us and letting us help with this. And then, like Roz said earlier, just you taking on this leadership role. It's really great to see. I think anytime we can come together as a community, it's good for Gleann Abhann and it's good for the SCA as a whole. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right.
Love you. Thank you, Sir Titus, for joining us. And of course, thank you, Duke James, for filling us in on the history of TOC. So anything else, Roz, for this one?
No, man, that was a lot of information, a lot of good stuff going on out there in Gleann Abhann land.
Yep. If you are out and about and have anything that you would like to share with us, don't forget to tag us. Let us know what's happening in your world. And that wraps up this edition of AYUP.